What up, everybody? It's the Alex Leak and Friends NFL podcast, divisional round of the playoffs. I got the crew with me. I got David Stoyo in Canada.
Hello, hello.
I got Gavin Heslop in Oregon.
Let's talk some football.
And I got Josh Gonzalez in Niles.
Howdy ho.
All right, hell of a week of football. Crazy games all over the place. I'm going to say the word of the week is situational awareness. Let's start it off with this. We had some coaching moves during the week. We had the Bears signed former Oregon Ducks head coach Mark Helfrich to the offensive coordinator and retained defensive coordinator Vic Fangio. In my opinion, great move. Stoyo, what do you think of these moves?
Great moves. You keep a DC that's one of the best in the business. You have that continuity on defense now. We were a top 10 unit, and hopefully we can make it even better.
Yeah.
The OC is an interesting signing. I don't think it's as important because the head coach is going to have the play calling, so he's just there to give some of his football genius and find ways to use Mitch Trubisky properly.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. It's going to be good for the future. I hope that we're finally going to get out of the bottom of the NFC North and hopefully even reach 500 and maybe even playoffs.
Yep, hopefully. Josh, we haven't talked to you about the Packers have made quite a few moves in the front office, as well as letting go of defensive coordinator Dom Capers. What do you think of the Packers' move so far this offseason?
Well, yeah, I think the Packers can win the Super Bowl next year.
Yeah. You think they're you got a new GM that's got to help with player personnel. Hopefully, you get some better players in there, some better decisions.
Yeah, we need to get more depth.
Yeah,
Like we've had a few seasons now where like one injury just ruins everything.
Yep.
Or like at one point, I remember we had Greg Jennings, Donald Driver, Jordy Nelson, all good. So we were like, oh, we got 3 good receivers. Well, let's let 2 of them go. And then Jordy Nelson got injured, and then Aaron Rodgers throwing to
Nobody's throwing a Jeff Janis.
Yeah. Throwing
Gavin.
James Jones.
Yeah, James Jones. Gavin, the Lions are expected to hire Patriots DC Matt Patricia to their next head coach. I know you said last week you're not a big fan. Have you thought any more about this? Has your opinion changed at all?
I haven't had to think any more about it. I want nothing to do with him. I don't want anything to do with any underlings of Bill Belichick. Just like every player that they trade away, their weaknesses are shown without their father, the Dark Lord Belichick, telling them what to do and sacrificing goats to get them wins.
Yeah.
So I'm really disappointed. The thing I voiced in it last week and the week before, I was really hoping Steve Wilkes. He was my number 1 candidate, but the recent news that I've heard is that he has taken himself out of the running, or at least kind of stepped down, taken himself away from the possibility because it's supposedly inevitable that that they'll be going with the Patriots DC, or at least that they'll be he's their front runner, and so they're just going to wait to be pursuing him, which is really unfortunate for any team at this point, not just the Lions, that are waiting on hiring a head coach, because if they're assuming that you're going to be hiring coordinators as well to go with that, you have you're missing out on a lot of some good staff that'll be available to you right now. Like the Tennessee with their head coach no longer being there, fired, however that really played out. And the Giants now, they are going to be needing a head coach and coordinators. Assuming they're going to have to populate their whole staff. While the Bears have gotten a great, hopefully for you guys, I guess, great head coach prospect.
Thank you.
So where we're sitting and waiting on someone that probably won't be available for another 3 weeks, and so we're going to maybe get even if he ends up being a good coach, who knows what kind of coordinators we're going to get to go along with it.
Yeah, I agree. It makes it difficult, but we'll see. I think that Matt Patricia can be a good hire. I think that he's a young head coach or a young coach. He's learned from a great head coach in Bill Belichick. He's been in a great system, and maybe he'll bring some more structure and better locker room to Detroit. We'll see. It's definitely up in the air. The Giants are expected to hire Vikings OC Pat Shurmur to the head coach position. We'll see how that goes. That could be a good hire. The Seahawks fire OC Darrell Bevell and offensive line coach Tom Cable, and the Raiders hire Tom Cable to the same position in Oakland. So those are the moves that are going on. And let's get right into the action. This weekend was Go ahead, Stoyo.
It is rumored that Josh McDaniels is going to sign with the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah.
And I think that is a mistake on the Colts' part.
Yeah, we'll see. He's an offensive guy. He's going to have luck. He's going to have T.Y. Hilton. We'll see what the Colts do going forward. So, all right, the first game on Saturday afternoon was the Eagles, and their defense stands tall against the Falcons, 15-10 in Philly. Philly quarterback Nick Foles impresses, throwing for 246 and no turnovers. Atlanta quarterback Matt Ryan throws for 210 and a touchdown, but just misses on the game-winning touchdown attempt. Eagles running back Jay Ajayi combines for 98 total yards after fumbling on his first carry of the game. And Falcons receiver Julio Jones catches 9 for 101 yards, but sees the game-winning touchdown pass slip through his hands. Philly DT Fletcher Cox came up big, stuffing the run and getting pressure on the quarterback. And the Eagles' rookie kicker Jake Elliott comes through, going 3 for 3, including a 53-yarder. Stoyo, what did you take away from this game? Big win for the Eagles.
Huge win for the Eagles without their star QB, Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
I think that the Falcons made some costly mistakes, especially in the first half. They could have held the Eagles to a 10-6 halftime lead, but instead of batting down a ball, they tried to intercept it, and it didn't work out. And Alshon Jeffrey made a crucial catch with 1 second to go to give a chance at Philly to add another valuable field goal before halftime. And they finished the game, or the half, with 10-9, which was a huge victory for them, I would say.
Yeah.
And to win in the playoffs, you have to score in the second half, Atlanta. You were so close. You were a 6 seed that was favored to win. And with Julio Jones and that formidable offense, you need to come up with more than just 10 points.
Yeah. It
was close, but
yeah. I give credit to that Eagles defense. I think they were getting pressure. I think they were motivated. Gavin, what did you take away from this game?
I was actually pretty impressed with Matt Ryan not being awful against this Philly defense in Philadelphia. I voiced my opinion last week how I feel that Matt Ryan tends to struggle on the road, especially outdoors, and when you're facing one of the top defenses in the league outdoors on the road, I was expecting the Falcons to not be in this game, not nearly as close as they were. That being said, they didn't take advantage of the opportunities that the Eagles gave them. Yeah. They recovered 2 fumbles. Another special teams blunder by an Atlanta opponent in the playoffs that they unfortunately weren't able to capitalize on as greatly as they needed to in this game, like they were able to in last week's matchup. So big hats off to the Eagles defense, standing strong at home and taking the weight off of Foles' shoulders, although he did put up a relatively good stat line for playing as little as he did throughout the year and playing in his first playoff game.
Yeah, impressive. Josh, what do you think? This Eagles fan base always comes out ready to go, and I felt like that was another factor in this game, was that the crowd was super loud. Playoff game in Philly in the Link, and they came ready. I feel like the Eagles defense came ready, and that running game is really helping out Nick Foles. Josh, what do you think of the game, and what do you think of the Eagles going forward?
Oh, it was a slugfest.
Yeah.
Struggle.
Winning in Philly in the playoffs is difficult for anybody.
Yeah, but the Falcons only got 10 points.
Yeah.
And like Will was saying, no points at all in the second half, but still they were within a score, within a play of winning the thing. But it seems to have become like a signature for this Falcons team that's close to the bar.
Yeah, seriously. Do you blame Julio Jones for not catching that touchdown at the end?
Oh, well, it went through his hands.
He had a shot at it.
Yeah, he should have caught it.
In this game, I'm going to put a little bit of the blame, unfortunately, on the Falcons OC, Steve Sarkisian. I thought that he had some poor play calling and situational awareness, especially on the final drive in the red zone. Time was running down. The Eagles still had timeouts. In my opinion, I would have ran the ball on first and second down there, made the Eagles use timeouts, and milk some of the clock. I also believe that on the fourth down, rolling Matt Ryan out cuts the field in half and pretty much almost guaranteed a throw to Julio Jones, and I believe made it easier on the Eagles' defense. And even if the Falcons had scored there, they would have given the ball back to Philly with 58 seconds on the clock. So, what do you think of the play calling and situational awareness by Sarkisian in this game, Stoyo?
I don't like it. I think if they had Shanahan, they would have won this game.
Yeah.
And some play calling was just not what I expected. And I don't know, I didn't like their clock management as well.
Yeah. Yeah, every second is vital in a playoff game, and I think you got to take advantage. You got the ball, you're in position to score. You got to, be on top of everything to win a playoff game. Gavin, what do you think?
Teams learned that lesson this weekend.
Yeah, definitely. Gavin, what do you think? And would you bring back Sarkisian? Would you have him around for another year?
I would have a hard time keeping Sarkisian around. To his credit, I think that he got a lot out of Mohamed Sanu this year, who and that, it might be that he was just really undervalued during his time when he was in Cincinnati behind AJ Green, but he's really gotten quite a bit out of Sanu, especially this year, and they utilize Julio Jones quite a bit as well, which it seems like the obvious thing, but as a Lions fan, you know that sometimes your offensive coordinator forgets that you have a stud at wide receiver, and they just don't ever throw to him. So that being said, I don't know. I think some of it might just be that we expected so much out of Atlanta after last year that we don't fully realize how important Shanahan was to that offense. And you don't come by an offensive mind like that very easily. So I'm not sure that we can put all the blame for it on Sarkisian. Like I said, it was Matt Ryan on the road outside against a really tough defense, and he didn't throw the game away. But you gotta. I really question the call there at the end, going to cutting the field in half, like you said. I don't blame them at all for going for Julio. Even though he dropped the ball, there was still the right throw by Ryan. He put it up there a foot and a half taller than the corner because Julio is about that much taller than him.
Yeah. And
it was a bad play by Julio, which he's had 2 costly touchdown drops, this one being significantly more important than the last one, where he dropped that open bomb from Ryan in the end zone back in the regular season. But yeah, you've got to, if you're Julio and you're supposed to be the stud, you've got to catch that ball. There's no reason for him to have missed that. And I know that people are saying, well, he would have been out of bounds anyways because he stepped out. Okay, yeah, there's that. But the thing is, he didn't even get his hands around the ball.
Yeah.
So you could forget about that, and that, to miss a ball where I feel like the majority of receivers in the NFL would have at least gotten both hands on it and at least brought it to their chests. To see Julio, of all people, drop that, he's got to feel awful. But
you got to make that.
There's always next year. I guess that can be the new Falcons mantra.
Yeah.
I also would like to add that Eagle safety Malcolm Jenkins said that he knew the call was coming and he jumped the routes accordingly on the 4th and 2 play.
Wow.
Yeah, but see, it doesn't matter. He had it like that.
It was in his hands.
Julio had that ball.
Yeah.
Except he didn't. But I think you know what I'm saying.
You can design a better play for Julio Jones, I think.
You can.
4th and 2.
Yeah, I agree that the rollout, it's difficult. I'm going to put some of the blame on Dan Quinn. Josh, what do you think? The head coach, the OC can call whatever he want, but all those calls go through the head coach, and Dan Quinn could have easily overruled them or done something. Do you put blame on the head coach here?
Well, yeah, sure. It's all of the above.
Yeah.
Julio, coach, OC.
Yeah, and this is the second straight year where clock management has come back to bite the Falcons. I'm also going to pat myself on the back here, take a little on the back. I'm going to take a little credit. I said last week that the Eagles would be motivated by the underdog, by being called underdogs, and obviously they were. And you don't need any more. After the game, they were seen wearing a dog mask and did post-game interviews in a dog mask.
Yeah.
Making their point very, very strong that they did not appreciate that. And we'll see if they're underdogs again against the Vikings. The next game was Saturday night, where the Patriots easily roll past the Titans 35-14 in Foxborough, despite trailing 7-0 early. New England quarterback Tom Brady throws for 337 and 3 touchdowns. Titans quarterback Marcus Mariota combines for 291 and 2 touchdowns. Patriots wide receiver Danny Amendola catches 11 for 112 yards. And Titans rookie wide receiver Corey Davis catches 5 for 63 and 2 touchdowns, including a one-handed touchdown earlier that was sick. Western Michigan Bronco product, represent. Stoyo. The Titans started out looking decent, but couldn't really hang with the powerful Patriots. What do you think of this game?
Just another day at the office for the Patriots.
Yeah.
Tennessee had the first punch, but then they let New England score 35 points unanswered. That doesn't get it done in the playoffs. Again, New England is a step above everyone else right now.
Yeah.
And I guess I could have hoped that Tennessee would have given them a little bit of a tougher game, but that game was pretty much done at halftime.
Yep. And not just on offense, New England's defense was dominant as well, registering 8 Mariota sacks. Gavin, what do you think of the Patriots?
Yeah, I think the most impressive thing for me for their defense was stopping the run. They held Derrick Henry to 28 yards on 12 carries. He's been playing quite well this year overall, and I knew that they were going to be trying to rely heavily on the run game to open things up for Mariota, but they were able to keep him in check, which is definitely good news for their next matchup, 'cause as they play at home against a really good and strong run game. So if they can keep that up, they'll see themselves in the title game once again. And the 8 sacks is also really impressive. I don't think they'll see that again next year. Jack Conklin did go out of the game for Tennessee, their stud right tackle from MSU represent.
Yeah.
But so I think that played a part in it as well. And also Mariota being a bit more mobile quarterback, they're going to see him hold on to the ball a bit more longer than your typical guy. But still a strong showing by their defense. They stepped up big in a playoff game, and I wonder if they're going to have the Marvin Lewis effect, which I'm going to call it from here on out, because Cincinnati's a bunch of bastards, and I blame them for the Lions not making the playoffs. But if they're, it's almost inevitable that both of their coordinators are going to be gone, so both sides of the ball step it up for one last hurrah with McDaniels and the other guy whose name I obviously can't remember because I never say it.
Who's that, Patricia?
That's his name.
Yeah.
I just don't want to say it. I dislike him as a head coach, the concept so much. I just don't want to remember his name.
Why is that? I think he's a decent candidate. He's worked on both sides of the football, and honestly, you're not hiring Josh McDaniels.
A fun fact about Matt Patricia, Gavin. Matt Patricia has a degree in rocket science. No joke.
Yeah, well, Brian Fitzpatrick went to Harvard and had a fantastic Wonderlic score. Well, that doesn't mean you're going to be a fantastic individual in the world of sports.
That's true.
I don't want the Brian Fitzpatrick of coaches. I don't want Jeff Fisher. Okay, I want something a little more than that.
Do you know what the Lions should have done?
What's that?
They should have kept Bill Belichick in the building. I don't know if you guys knew this, but he used to coach in Detroit.
Wow.
Years and years ago, in 1975 and 76, he was on the Lions coaching staff. They had the genius in the building and let him walk.
No, what we should have done is never gotten rid of Dick LeBeau. He should have just played for us forever and then coached for the entirety of his career. That would have been the smart move. But,
there you go. I appreciate a good Dick LeBeau shout out. In other news, I believe there's still 1 second remaining before the half in this game. I think that call was ridiculous. You see Amendola go down, and there was a 1 on that clock for at least 3 seconds. I'm not feeling that. Josh, what do you think? Is there any beating this Patriot team? Is there any beating the genius Bill Belichick right now?
Oh, it's possible.
Yeah.
We've seen it happen every once in a while. When he, like a shooting star.
Yeah.
Before my glory. I'm hoping for one. I'm really pulling for the Jags next week.
Yeah, that should be a hell of a game. On Monday, the Titans fired their head coach Mike Mularkey with a record of 20-21. Titans GM John Robinson on Mularkey said, quote, "I felt like we needed to go in a different direction and maximize the skill set of the players on the field." Do you guys agree with this move?
I do. I wasn't a fan of the hire to begin with last year. I've just never been impressed with Mularkey as in his times as a head coach, and he certainly did two good records from a struggling Tennessee team before he showed up. But you also had a actual quarterback for all the years he was there versus all the times when they had journeyman guys just kind of rolling through. So I don't put a lot of that on him. They've drafted relatively well, and They've made a couple of decent free agent signings, but I don't give any credit to that for Malarkey because the majority of those were made when he was not even around. So I'm not surprised by this. It's kind of unfortunate, like I mentioned before. Some of the top prospects might not be available to Tennessee now that they're only starting their search now.
Yeah, very true. All right, let's get into the craziest day of football I've seen in a long time. The Jags and the Steelers. The Jags jump ahead early and survive a comeback against the Steelers 45-42 in Pittsburgh. Jacksonville quarterback Blake Bortles combines for 249 yards and a touchdown and made big plays when needed and no turnovers once again. Steelers quarterback Ben Roethlisberger throws for 469 and 5 touchdowns and 2 turnovers. Jags rookie running back Leonard Fournette rushes for 109 yards and 3 touchdowns. Steelers running back Le'Veon Bell combines for 155 yards and 2 touchdowns. Steelers wide receiver Antonio Brown played through an injury, catches 7 balls for 132 yards and 2 spectacular touchdowns. And Jacksonville linebacker Telvin Smith makes huge impact in this game, registering 16 tackles and returning a Roethlisberger fumble 50 yards for a touchdown. Stoyo, what do you think of this game?
I thought that was going to be the greatest game of the day.
Yeah.
And what a fun game it was to watch. 87 points, almost 1,000 yards of offense. It was such an entertaining game, but I have to point out that some of the coaching decisions were beyond me. I just could not understand them.
Yep.
Several times on 4th and short, they could have given it to Big Ben and have him QB sneak for an easy first down, but they chose not to do that, and they missed both of those 4th down conversions. Big Ben had 2 costly turnovers that resulted into 14 points, and you cannot allow 45 points at home and hope for a victory.
Yep. The Steelers were determined to go for it in this game on 4th down. I mean, they got in a hole early and had to climb back. They did go 4 for 6 on 4th down, but the 2 misses were huge. Let's see. On the 4th and 1 of them was an outside run to Le'Veon Bell, which I disagreed with. I mean, it's 4th and short. You're going up against a fast Jacksonville defense. Go right up the middle on them. Use your power line. And another one, they threw it. And it's like, come on, here's a good stat for this. Big Ben, in his career, is 18 for 19 on 4th and 1 rushes. So maybe they should have used that play. Gavin, what do you think of this game?
I'm really surprised at the outcome of this game, not only by who won. I picked the Steelers last week, but the most shocking thing to me is the number of points scored by both sides. You had a Jacksonville team that struggled to beat a Bills team at home last week, and then they were coming into the Steelers' house. I expected them to struggle to put up points again, and then you also have their defense of Jacksonville going up against the Steelers and a injured Antonio Brown. I was definitely expecting to see I wasn't expecting to see 47 points from any of these teams, or 45 points, excuse me, let alone 45-42 being for both sides. So really surprising by the scoreline at the end, but not surprised by Fournette's outing. The Steelers have been missing Ryan Shazier, obviously, ever since he left. The leader of their defense is gone, and they haven't been able to stop the run effectively ever since he's left. So the Jacksonville was able to lean on Fournette to get 3 touchdowns for them and not putting a lot of pressure on Blake Bortles. And as much as I've ripped the guy over the last few weeks, credit to him, especially in the fourth quarter, driving his team down the field and getting that last touchdown that they needed. to really put some pressure on the Steelers and getting them the win.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to give credit to, Bortles played a lot better than I thought he would, and Fournette's a beast, and he's going to be tough to stop. Josh, did you see this coming? And, the Steelers gave up 45 at home in a playoff game. That's ridiculous. What do you think of this game, Josh?
Oh, no, definitely didn't see that coming. Steelers sure have come a long way from the steel curtain defense and the ground and pound offense. I think you said that was a record or tying a record for the most points they've allowed at home in a playoff game.
Yep. Incredible.
I think there was 5 touchdowns and a field goal just in the fourth quarter from both teams.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. This game is hard to figure out. I think it's inexcusable that the Steelers were within 7 and had 2:19 on the clock and 2 timeouts. And I know the defense has struggled all game long to get the Jags off the field, but in my opinion, you kick it deep and you make them get another first down. And you use your timeouts and hopefully you get the ball back. They decided instead to onside kick it. The kick was poorly executed, and Jacksonville was already in field goal range, and the Steelers did stop them on 3 plays, but they were in field goal range and kicked it and extended it to 10, and that was pretty much the game. And then they scored a touchdown with 1 second on the clock, and it looked like the Steelers did not practice the onside kick situation at all going into this game. What do you guys think of the Steelers' execution, especially late?
I would have never kicked the onside kick there.
Yeah.
As you said, with 2:18 left, you have 2 timeouts and the 2-minute warning, so you have 3 stops. Kick it deep, give your defense at least a chance. They can even pick up a first down and you still have a shot.
Yeah.
Then to pretty much just give the game away. Recovering an outside kick when it's expected is very difficult, and you didn't even give your team a chance. I would have kicked it deep and just hope for the best, motivate your troops to get you a stop, and they did get that stop.
Yeah.
So to me, that's unpardonable to do that with 2 minutes and 18 seconds left. And even after that, I still did not like the play calling. I think they rely on their second string tight end too much. When you have the best wide receiver in the game, use them. Yep. On the last drive, he picked up a quick 27-yard, and then they did not go to him till 4th and 10. This is the time to make your playmakers make their money. So I would have died throwing the ball to AB and not McDonald's, but that's just how I would have played it.
Yep.
So to me, a lot of this comes back to coaching. And Ben Roethlisberger last week said that he wanted to face the Jaguars, and you should not give a playoff team extra motivation.
Yep. Gavin, what do you think? Do you put a lot of this on Mike Tomlin?
Yeah, I think so. I think that it seemed like they weren't prepared coming in to give up so many points so quickly to the Jaguars, 21 unanswered points. But to me, the thing that was the most, I don't know, the thing that I blame him the most for was the choices he made there in the last 2.5 minutes of the game. The onside kicks you mentioned just didn't make any sense, even to the layman. Someone that just plays Madden and watches playoff football, it didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And to me, the even more baffling is the squib kick at the very end of the game, where they kick it past all the Jaguar defenders to a lone Jaguar standing there when you have 1 second left. I'm not sure. Maybe there's a rule where 1 second has to come off each play, and it had to be over. But to me, if you can recover an onside kick and someone's touching you, and as you recover it, you're down. You get 1 second. You still get a shot. maybe I don't understand the rule, so if that's how it is, then it's just null and void. But the squib kick to me was throwing in the towel, and I hate seeing any team throw in the towel, particularly in a game that you technically could win, especially at home in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That was really frustrating. Maybe he knows a lot more about football than me, so maybe there's some logic to it. I just don't understand. But to me, Mike Tomlin really screwed this one up in the last few minutes of the game. I don't blame them for using McDonald so much. The Jaguars have a really good secondary, so it's hard for me to fault them for not throwing at Bouye and Ramsey, two of the best corners in the league. Use your athletic advantage that you have in McDonald versus linebackers. He's taller, he's faster, and this is really what they're hoping that he would be for them when they got him from San Francisco. But either way, definitely some coaching blunders in my opinion at the end of this game, and I don't think he's going anywhere. But someone needs to have a talk with that dude.
Yeah, and I mean, more egregious to me, regardless of if there's a second left on the clock or not, you want to see your team fighting to the end, and you want to see them be able to kick an onside kick properly. And they had two opportunities, and it wasn't even close both times. Josh, you know, of all people, that at least kick the onside kick, give your team a chance. What do you think? What's going on in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, that was. I don't know. Obviously, Tomlin was letting everybody know he's lost all faith in the defense.
Yeah.
And that they could not get the ball back within 2.5 minutes or how much time left.
Yeah.
And thinking they're just going to drive down the field and run out the clock. Taking desperate measures, but yeah, like you were saying, it looked like they hadn't done an onside kick in a while.
Yeah,
to me, this is worse than when Belichick went for it on fourth down against the Colts in his own territory.
Mm-hmm.
There was more benefit to me than trying to go for an onside kick with 2.5 left when you could still stop the defense. I know you got Leonard Fournette, but they're going to be a bit more conservative, I feel, with the game, winning the game currently, the Jaguars would be, so you're not going to see them flinging the ball all over for that reason, and Blake Bortles isn't known for being a gunslinger, so I'm still trying to put together the logic behind it. Maybe we'll get some BS reasoning, in a week or so, but as of right now, I just think that was probably the dumbest decision made all weekend in the NFL.
Yeah, and speaking of dumb decisions, I feel like the Steelers gave Jacksonville all the fucking, all the, what would you call it, bulletin board material that you could give them. Ben Roethlisberger saying that he wants to play Jacksonville. Le'Veon Bell saying that this week we're going to play a second-round team and next week we're going to play a second-round team. Just no respect going on there, and it looked like it. It looked like they didn't respect the Jags coming in, and the Jags got them. I'm not a fan of that, and after this game, Jags safety Jalen Ramsey says to the crowd, and he was on caught on audio saying that Jacksonville will beat the Patriots and win the Super Bowl. And I think that's the last thing you want to do is give a team like the Patriots bulletin board material. But the good news is that the Jags VP of football operations is Tom Coughlin, and he has beat the Patriots before, so that'll be interesting. And then the game of the week. The Vikings stun the Saints 29-24 at US Bank Stadium on the Minneapolis Miracle. Vikings quarterback Case Keenum throws for 318 and the game-winning touchdown. Saints quarterback Drew Brees throws for 294 and 3 touchdowns, bouncing back from 2 first-half interceptions. Vikings receiver Stephon Diggs catches 6 for 137 yards, including the game-winning touchdown as time expires. Saints wide receiver Michael Thomas caught 7 balls for 85 yards and 2 touchdowns. Stoyo, what do you think of the stunner in Minnesota?
Great game. Absolutely amazing. It was the game of the day, game of the playoffs so far, game of the year. What an ending. But Minnesota looked so great in the first half. That defense had a 17-point lead, and I thought it was over. Drew Brees threw a costly pick where he could have had Teddy Ginn Jr. for a touchdown, but he underthrew him. And I thought finally Drew Brees was looking his age, and then out of nowhere, they come back.
Yeah.
And they build a comeback, and here we go again. Minnesota cannot get it done in the playoffs. I'm really amazed that Drew Brees was able to come back against that defense that is so good. I don't know if anyone else is going to be able to do what he did to that defense. And, yeah, what a game. I also want to point out that Marcus Williams had a game-deciding pick.
Yep.
And I'll let someone talk before we continue.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I saw the comeback coming. Even at halftime when it was 17-0, I was like, you know what? This is Drew Brees on the other side, and he's got weapons, and he's not just going to let you win. He's not going to get shut out. He's not going to get beat badly in the playoffs. Drew Brees has been doing it for a long time, and he did it again. Drew Brees was clutch. He led a clutch drive. He was trailing with 1:24 to go, drove down against the number 1 defense in football, and they kicked the game-winning field goal with what would have been the game-winning field goal with 25 seconds left, and I thought it was over. What do you think of this game, Gavin?
This was definitely the best game of the weekend. I thought it would be a close game going into it, but nobody can predict an ending like this, and just a roller coaster of emotions for both teams, fans of both teams as well. To have the Saints shut out for the first time in the first half since 2014, then their defense step up, start holding the Vikings offense back, and scoring to catch up and even take the lead a couple times. And then in the last minute 30 for the lead to change 3 times, and a walk-off touchdown pass on a 61-yard pass that, in the first half of that play, it looked like it wasn't going to be anything but maybe a 25-yarder that ended up out of bounds, or maybe they can spike the ball with 5 seconds left, but instead it turns into a game-winning touchdown, and pains me to say it, but I was a little jealous of all the Vikings fans in the stands, because the emotion that goes along with that would have been absolutely amazing to see your team prevail like that when you looked like you were totally out of it.
Yeah.
So props to both sides. New Orleans could have easily given up after going down so many in the first half, but we said going into it, Drew Brees is Drew Brees, and if the defense wasn't able to hold people and the running game wasn't able to be productive, like we saw in this game, that Drew Brees can always step up, and that's what we saw. And it's a shame that someone had to lose this game. Really, it was an awesome game to watch.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. I feel bad for Marcus Williams, but you got to do better than that. And it was unbelievable. I didn't know what to say following this game. I was at a loss for words. Josh, what did you think? Have you ever seen anything like that?
No.
Yeah.
It was like I didn't get to watch the whole game in real time. When I got home, it was like I watched like the 4th quarter, and it was like a complete adrenaline rush. And it was like the Vikings needed a field goal, they got one, and why are they showing the other Vikings kickers that have missed in the playoffs right now?
Trying to jinx
But
him.
he read it.
Yeah.
And this was a tough kick. This was a 53-yarder.
Yeah. And then when the Saints needed a field goal, against that defense, Breeze got him down there. And it was a pretty far field goal. And he drilled it.
Yeah.
I was like, this is crazy. And then when they needed a touchdown, Breeze got him a touchdown again against that defense. And I was like, wow. And it's like the Wayne's World. I was like, I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy. Like, Breeze just went on this defense and came back, and that's what's going to go down as a great moment in Saints history.
Yeah.
And then, the Vikings had no timeouts. Keenum threw a couple balls on the last drive that were like dink lobs that could have been really bad. And then, there's like one play left, and I think that's when I started messaging you. It was like, what the hell just happened?
It was
like, I was looking
insane.
for a flag or something. Like, did that count? Is this really going on? And it's like, wow, like, that would be like hard to do on Madden to wrap that up.
Yeah, and you said something very interesting about that safety play from Marcus Williams. What'd you think of Marcus Williams on that play?
Oh, I said I'm not a fan of the shoulder tackle. As you seen there, it's sometimes not accurate because he totally missed him.
Yeah.
And I brought up that that was something that Darren Sharper liked to use a lot in Green Bay, and he did it to T.O., and T.O. caught the game-winning touchdown pass from Steve Young against the Packers in the playoffs, and it didn't work. And he did it when Donovan McNabb and the Eagles converted 4th and 26 on Green Bay in the playoffs when he decided to hit the guy instead of make a play on the ball, and it didn't work. And
Yeah, you got to feel for Marcus.
Wrapped him up, tackled him right there, game over.
Yep. Yeah, it's just one of those plays. I mean, I'm sure, if he could go back in time, he would have done it all differently. As football fans, we were blessed in this game to see such a great game and see such a great ending. And you got to feel for the Saints. You got to feel for Drew Brees. This felt like one of his last shots to make a serious run to the Super Bowl, and to fall just short like that is incredible.
I believe this is the only time a playoff game has been decided by a touchdown as time expires.
Yeah, insane.
What a great way to write history.
Yeah.
Stoyo. I'll be reminded of back when the Saints had like Aaron Brooks and Deuce McAllister.
Yeah.
They had a game against the Jaguars in the regular season where they were down 7. There was not enough time left to do anything except return the kickoff for a touchdown. And they did it. There was laterals all over the place. You're throwing it backwards, and they pulled it off. It was voted the play of the year and one of the greatest plays of all time. And then the kicker missed the extra point, and they lost by 1.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But you don't expect to win a Super Bowl with Aaron Brooks as your QB. You kind of does with Breeze.
Yeah.
And to me,
it's definitely a much higher stakes situation with this one.
Yeah, for sure. But what is overlooked is one touchdown was taken off the board in the first half because of a false start.
Yeah.
And taking points off in the playoffs is huge.
Yeah.
And that cost them. Cost them big.
Stoyo, you mentioned something when in the second half, Sean Payton had 2 challenges in a row where he lost 2 timeouts. I thought this was some what was the word of the day again here? Let's see. It was situational awareness. And when you're in the second half of a very tight playoff game, you need to hang on to those timeouts. I didn't agree with those calls. Also, when Drew Brees was hot in that second half and just lighting up the best defense in football, Sean Payton decided to see if Willie Snead could throw the rock and had him throw a pass to Alvin Kamara that just missed. I'm thinking maybe let Drew Brees make that throw. What do you think of the play calling in this game, Stoyo?
I hated those challenge flags.
Yeah.
Because those weren't even close. If they were a lot closer and you thought you could have won one of them, fine, go with it. But in my opinion, those were clearly not challengeable plays.
Yeah.
They were clearly the right play on the field, and I just felt like he was pissed about it and just like threw it on emotion and not really a lot of thoughts in them. You need those timeouts in a Super Bowl second half for sure.
I felt like those were some John Fox challenge flags.
Yeah, and you know how those turn out.
In his defense for the first of those challenge flags, the Vikings did a really good job getting back up to the line really quickly afterwards.
Yep.
And so he was not able to get word from the guys upstairs looking at replays to get confirmation whether he should or shouldn't challenge. In real time, it was a close enough play that it would at least be worthy of being considered a challenge and having upstairs look at it. But since Minnesota got to the line so quickly and didn't give them time to fully review it, he had to make a split-second decision, and obviously it was the wrong one. But I don't think it's as glaring an issue as we got to see seeing the slow-motion instant replay, and you're getting the different angles that he wasn't privy to because the Vikings did such a good job making sure they went up to execute a second play.
I can live with the first one, but the second one was really bad in my opinion.
It was very shocking to see him go just one right after the other so early in the second half, especially. Like when you know that you're behind, yeah, exactly what you guys are saying. You need those timeouts and to blow both of them, especially that second one after you've already lost one, seemed skeptical. But
the second one felt like it came off frustration, and that's not what you want to do as the head coach.
Yeah, and
what a game.
Yeah, what a game. I mean, we're blessed as football fans. That game was awesome. Social media blew up. Yeah, that's why we watched the game. How about we give some credit to Case Keenum here, man? This guy, I felt like he showed unbelievable poise in the pocket. Like you just said, Gavin, the fact that Case Keenum saw that it was a close play, ran up to the line, and put the pressure on the defense and the coaching staff. I mean, this is veteran quarterback stuff, and this is a guy that hasn't been a starter for long. This is a guy that has been doubted everywhere he's been. Even his head coach, Mike Zimmer, will not give him his proper due after a season, a 13-3 season, and now a big win in the playoffs. I think we got to give Case Keenum some props.
Yeah, absolutely. He's definitely earning it. His first playoff game as a real contender, he stepped up and he didn't throw this game away. He did have some more errant throws in this game than I think we typically see from him. Some off his back foot, which was the cause of that interception.
Yeah.
Just lobbed that ball up there and gave Williams plenty of time to get underneath it. But he also made some great throws. The throw to Diggs there at the end was a good throw in a time when they needed it. And they got lucky with the poor tackling, but he didn't let the pressure of the defense or the pressure of the situation get to him so much that he gave the game away in his first playoff game. So it'll be really interesting to see obviously how the rest of the season plays out, but then also what happens in this offseason with Bradford still there, with Bridgewater there. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in Minnesota.
Yes, it will be. You got Bridgewater, Bradford, Keenum. Some big decisions to be made in Minnesota. Let's do some prediction time. We've got great football coming up on Sunday, the conference championships. The first game will be the Jags at the Patriots. huge game. We got Tom Coughlin and Jags management, and I'm sure he's going to have them ready. You got the number 2 defense in football going up against Brady and that great juggernaut in New England in Foxborough, so it's going to be tough. Do you guys give Jacksonville any shot? I'll start with you, Stoyo.
Yes.
You got...
I'll give him a shot now. I've been doubting Jacksonville for a bit now.
Yeah.
Since they kind of had a few games still had passed by in the end of the regular season. But I think they're hot at the right time to have a championship defense. And the best way to get to Brady is to attack the QB and put pressure on them. They have an advantage that they can pressure the QB with just 4 people rushing.
Yep.
So I would just throw everything and sink at Tom Brady and see what happens. If I was New England, I would try to just make Blake Bortles beat you and stack the box against Fournette and have Blake Bortles, an average QB, beat you. And I think that's the route they're going to go.
Yeah. What's your...
I'm going to predict a close New England victory.
Yeah. What do you think, Gavin?
I'm going to go with the phrase from Dumb and Dumber. So you're saying there's a chance. Yeah. I think the odds are a little bit better than 1 in a million for the Jaguars. They surprised me big this week. But I also think that just a week ago, they barely beat a struggling Buffalo Bills team at home. To go into New England and beat Bill Belichick and Tom Brady in the playoffs is going to be a really tough task, especially with how well New England's been against the run lately, which is the Jacksonville's strong suit on offense. I think that their defense is the foundation of their team in the running game, and I think that Bill Belichick knows how to take out your best weapon.
Yep.
And they also know how to include whatever individuals they need to on their offense to make the plays they need to win games. They've got running backs that can run through the tackles, and they also can catch the ball in the backfield. They also have speedy receivers. They got Gronk, a big receiver, which we saw how McDonald dominated the linebackers and safeties for Jacksonville. So I think we're going to see a very productive game from him. And you've also got receivers that know how to get open on short routes. And so you're going to really rely on Ramsey and Bouye to stick close to them. So I still think New England comes out on top here. I think they're going to win by double digits, but it's not going to be anything like we saw this last week in New England.
All right. Yeah, should be great football. Josh, are you going to be the guy that picks Jacksonville here?
I am.
Nice.
Nice. Someone's got it.
I don't know. I don't know how yet.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping.
Yeah.
They can do it.
Yeah.
It's hard because Belichick worships the devil.
He worships Goodell? Really?
Yeah.
I think they were former roommates in college.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I'm predicting a hell of a game. I think that the way that you beat the Patriots is you hit Brady in the mouth. You hit Brady and you hit Brady often, and the Jags are gonna do that. No doubt in my mind, the Jags are gonna get to Brady. It's gonna come down to Leonard Fournette. And if the Patriots, which they're probably going to do, I agree with you guys, they're going to stack the box. They're going to say that Leonard Fournette is not going to beat us. And that's going to come down to Blake Bortles. And so far in this postseason, Blake Bortles has yet to turn the football over. And that's the goal.
That's huge.
Yeah, if Blake Bortles can be clean, protect the ball, and make just enough plays, anything's possible. And when you got Tom Coughlin on your side against the Patriots, another thing going in your way. In the end, I'm taking the Patriots by 4 points. I think it's going to be a barn burner, a good game, and I'm looking forward to it. And I think the Patriots just find enough. I think that Jalen Ramsey's comments don't help matters, and Belichick and Brady are going to be ready to go.
I think Jacksonville should just be ultra aggressive. They have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
New England is supposed to win this game, so the pressure is all on them. Jacksonville is pretty much playing with house money, so I would be very aggressive and just go for the victory and not be afraid. And who knows? Make history.
Think about these.
Hit them fast.
Think about these guys up front. You've got to defend Yannick Ngakoue. You got to defend Malik Jackson, Marcel Darius, and Dante Fowler Jr. These guys are going to be coming after him. And Calais Campbell. I can't believe I almost forgot Calais Campbell.
I was going to say.
Yeah. Nasty defense. And then those linebackers, those corners. The recipe's there. Prove us wrong, Jacksonville.
The NASCAR defense beat Tom Brady before.
Yeah. All right, and then the second game, the Vikings at the Eagles. This game is a barn burner. This game's going to be great. People want to talk about, this is the Jeff Fisher backup quarterback bowl. This is good, but that being said, I think it's going to be good football. Nick Foles impressed. Case Keenum has been impressing. Two good defenses, two solid defenses. This is a tough task going into Philly and beating the Eagles. Where do you think this one goes, Stoyo?
I'm going to have to pick the Vikings.
Yeah.
I think to have better coaching, to have a better defense, and I think they also have a more complete offense.
Yeah.
The way the game ended, I think that they're going to ride that momentum all the way to the Super Bowl. After that kind of miracle, that just gives your team another life, and you can write crazy plays like that to the promised land.
Yeah.
And I'm not a big believer in Nick Foles.
Yeah.
And we'll see. I'm very excited to see it, but I have the Vikings by 4 points.
Yeah, I'm not a huge believer in Nick Foles either. He seemed to get the job done just enough to beat Atlanta. But in my opinion, they didn't run the ball enough. You got Jay Ajayi and LeGarrette Blount and Corey Clement, for that matter. Use those guys. Run the ball a lot. Pound the rock. Nick Foles isn't a star quarterback. Use your weapons. Where do you see this going, Gavin?
Man, this is a tough one. I really don't want to pick the Vikings, but every excuse I try and find motivation for the Eagles. I can't find anything to put the Vikings below them for this game. They just beat a strong team in the Saints. I know they were at home, but I think that with us, Nick Foles is going to be pressured a lot more in this game than he was against Atlanta. You had a couple sacks registered against Drew Brees in the last game, and he's known for getting rid of the ball quickly, not holding on to it for too long. So I don't think Foles is nearly the quarterback that Brees is. I think we all can get on board with that. And for that reason, I think that the Eagles lose at home, and we get the first Super Bowl contender to play a home game, which is going to be a logistical nightmare for the NFL. But it is what it is.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. Josh, what do you think? Where do you see this game going?
Oh, man. If you would have asked me, like, before the Saints-Vikings game, I probably would have picked the Eagles or especially I'm going to be rooting for the Eagles because they haven't won the big one. But, like Gavin was saying, I don't want to pick the Vikings because they're in the NFC North.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want
you cannot have
any other team, do well. But here they are, and it seems like the sports gods and Vince Lombardi has allowed them to. Maybe it's their year. You kind of like yeah, like after what what happened,
Yeah.
they have all the momentum and the magic going right now. You can't see, but I'm doing something with my hands. You can see the magic.
Yeah. So you're going Vikings?
Yeah, definitely in this game, and I wouldn't be surprised if they were able to ride that all the way.
Yep. You're
You know,
Might be the light of magic versus Belichick's dark magic and cosmic shit going down.
Yep.
you know, I'm changing my pick. I'm going Philly.
Wow.
Wow.
I thought about it a little bit, and after seeing Minnesota struggle in the second half and seeing the Saints defense step up, you saw their offense sputter, and without that 61-yard touchdown, Case Keenum doesn't look nearly as good, I think. So I think that the defense of Philly, who shut down a strong Atlanta offense going into the game, I think they're going to be able to do that and more to the Vikings defense. And this isn't going to be a high-scoring game, I don't think, but I think that the Philadelphia is also motivated being an underdog once again at home. They cited that being an important thing for them going into the last game. So I think they're gonna squeak by a win. So I'm changing my pick to Philly.
Nice. Yeah.
I don't know. For me, it's just hard to see Nick Foles beat that defense. You cannot run on that defense, so you're gonna have to beat that defense through the air. And it takes a great QB like Drew Brees to come so close. So I don't see Nick Foles beating that defense.
Yeah.
Well, it's not like they had a great rushing attack against Atlanta. I mean, they only averaged 3 yards a carry against Atlanta from their running backs. So I don't think that they're going to have to lean on the running game as much. And you also saw the safety for the Vikings get hurt, and I'm assuming he's in the concussion protocol now, Sendejo. So I'm guessing that he'll be back. But there's also a possibility that we're missing one of their players in secondary. I know that Xavier Rhodes also was a little hurt as well. So jumping back to the other game, big props to Mike Williams for doing what he did against possibly the best cornerback in the league.
Michael Thomas?
Yeah, no, it's Mike Williams. No, there's no good receiver named Mike Williams. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was impressed.
Get that garbage name out of my mind.
I was impressed with Michael Thomas going up against Xavier Rhodes. Granted, he was a little banged up, but I think that, I got to go Vikings. I think that this is a great game because I have a feeling the Eagles are going to be the underdogs again. They're going to be ready to bust out the dog mask again. So they got their thing going. The Vikings are trying to play a home game in the Super Bowl, which would be awesome, and I hope happens. It's never happened before. This is going to be epic. Should be the game of, great game. 2 great games. I'm going Vikings. I think that the Vikings defense shuts Philly down for the most part. I mean, the Eagles had a tough time against Atlanta's defense, and maybe Atlanta's better than people want to give them credit for, but I'm a believer in Minnesota's defense. I think they get the job done. I think Keenum protects the football. Stephon Diggs is the man. Thielen's the man. Go Vikings. I got the Vikings by 6 and a Vikings-Patriots Super Bowl, and me and Josh are thinking alike. I got the Vikings bringing home the trophy.
I wanted to have a Brady Drew Brees Super Bowl, but we're probably going to get Blake Bortles Nick Foles.
That'd be crazy.
Just a reminder that Atlanta shut LA down in LA to only 13 points, which is one of the most dynamic offenses in the NFL. So I think that their defense is, they're not nothing to shy away from.
Yeah.
That's not the phrase. They're no easy defense. So I think that that shines more favor on the Eagles.
Yeah.
Yeah, but a bird cannot do anything to a warrior except crap on it.
Well, maybe.
Well, a warrior can't do anything to a bird if it's too high.
Yeah. I don't know.
Man.
It'll be a great game.
They can clap all they want in Minnesota, but
I did see an interesting fact in the Battle of the Birds that the home bird has been 10-0 in the playoffs at home. So at times, if I would have known that, I would have picked Philly all the way. So
Well,
I had no shot according to stats.
they're about to be 10-1 unless Donovan McNabb walks through that door. That's my prediction. Josh, you think Jason Avant is coming back for this one?
I hope so.
Josh Stoyo is still available. I'm sure he would love to play.
he's probably better than half the receivers in the league. I know he's in better shape.
Yeah.
All right, well, another success, another great episode. Thanks for coming on, guys. Thanks to the listeners. You guys are awesome. Don't forget to subscribe and tune in next week. I'm going to have some great football. So go Purple People Eaters and go Jags. All right, guys. Have a good one.
Jags.
The Bears.